back. We're going to talk about grading coins. We got a couple examples that we're going to show you. We're going to go over some of the things that we talked about yesterday. The Sheldon scale. We'll talk about things like what is BU? What is choice BU? But before we begin, there has been a development. And this development is something that I think is worthy of discussion. And if you noticed, about 10 minutes ago, I changed the thumbnail. And there's a couple images on that thumbnail. I'll show that thumbnail here in just a minute. But the coin in question is something that, if it were allowed to be continued, could have caused a rattling through the community. It's interesting. There's a lot of fun information. There's been a serious bout of banter. Paul is probably swearing quietly under her breath. But it's a very interesting discussion. So I'm going to turn it over to Jack and Paula really quickly to talk about a coin that has been discovered that, if would have been allowed to stand, could have been real problematic. Good morning, Paula. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
So
Happy
tell
Sunday.
me about this almost graded PCGS coin that just happened.
Well, I'll start. So Pete Apple, love me some Pete Apple, sent me a message day before yesterday, or butt crack of dawn, because I don't think he realizes there's a time zone difference. And he said, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "No." So it was posted in a group that I was not a member of, and I guess the owner of the coin had originally posted it to get opinions on it, and was told by a bunch of people in the group, no, it's just a damaged coin, blah, 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 blah. Well, then she proceeded to take it to her coin shop. The coin dealer said, no, it's just damaged coin, blah, blah, blah. Well, as you know, we've talked about this before. They don't always listen. There was one or two people that told her she should get it graded anyway. So she sent it off. Well, $124 later, and she received an email day before yesterday that the coin actually graded.
So let's go ahead and pull up your screen.
Okay. You want me to pull it up? Mine? Okay.
I do.
The coin was actually graded. And hang on, I'm trying to find the right one.
And we'll get to the bottom line here in a minute. I want you guys just to have the details and understand why this is a big deal and why I wanted to talk about it.
Okay, it's down there.
There we go.
So she received an email that the coin was actually graded, got the cert number. It did grade a damaged coin. But the kicker is that they graded it a 1959 D cent. Well, if you look at the reverse of that coin, if it was a 1959 D, it would be a very, very expensive mule coin error.
7-figure expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Jack said, they turned a 1 cent coin into a 7-figure coin. So you know me, I'm like persistent, if nothing else. I was not okay with them getting by with this. First of all, my problem right off the bat was that it even was graded. It should not have even been put in a holder with the damage, because to me, the date is unidentifiable. And so I posted it in Jack's group, Fun with Fakes. And it kind of became a group effort at that point. Jack can kind of jump in and tell you what he did. And Thomas Walker tagged me or he tagged Curtis, and Curtis isn't in that group. So anyway, so Jack, you want to say what you did after that?
Yeah, absolutely. Curtis and I are friends. I tend not to have PPG guys in Fun with Fakes. So yeah, he's not in that group, but he and I talk regularly. Anytime that I am aware of something like this, I let him know, but I also have a very good friend, good contact at PCGS that I get a hold of him as well. So, you put this up there and it's like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Because we just had a 1796 off center bus that was in a PCGS holder. And of course, that doesn't exist. So here we go again. I got a hold of Curtis. I also got a hold of my contact at PCGS. And he initially, Curtis says, well, what's going on with it? And I explained it. And it's like, oh no. And yeah, we had a lot of interesting banter on Fun with Fakes, and it was a really good post. I appreciate you putting it on there. I know you had it in a couple other groups as well.
I did. I posted it in the PCGS group forum, the collectors universe.
Yeah, I posted it there too, and it was removed. So that's
Well,
another
probably
story.
because mine was probably already in there, so they
Mm,
probably saw it as like a
yeah, I don't
duplicate.
know. But anyhow,
I don't think they
Curtis,
were happy about it being in there.
no, but Curtis got back with me, and the fortunate thing is they caught it before it got shipped.
Oh,
And so the timing was great. I mean, it was going out, slap like that. And
mhm.
he caught it. He caught it as a result of us, getting with them. And he said that the cert and the label was being adjusted as we spoke. So, unfortunately, the person on the other end of it is probably going to be pretty disappointed when they see what
She
they get.
definitely is, because
Yeah, and I don't
she
know how he's going to cert it. He didn't tell me, and he thanked us, of course, and because it's a very embarrassing thing when you think about it. I mean, the only one certified, the only one proven
yeah,
that exists. I mean, come on, guys.
PCGS wouldn't even, recognize the original one that was, like, in mint state condition.
No, they
Um,
wouldn't. And I
mm,
think you made the comment. I've got screen images, of course, of it.
mhm.
The PCGS number that you clicked on took you to a memorial center. It took you to
Yeah,
the
it
proper
does.
one. And but
Yeah.
after all this went down, the cert was nuked. I mean, it's gone. Um, I don't know if they'll actually come back and use the same cert and have an adjusted description of it, or how they're going to do that. But the certs no longer exists, at least at this point.
Well, for the sake of damage control, they have to, right? They've got to get this out of here. They've got to do some research, make
Well, so
determinations.
that's exactly right, because so in the forum where I posted it, like I had, Thomas Delory commented, Fred Weinberg commented, like within like 15 minutes it had over 600 people, 600 views. And one person commented and said, well, as a mechanical error, it's got to be worth a few bucks, right? So now in my pea brain, my error coin pea brain, I automatically I hear mechanical and I think it's got something to do with the coin. No, they were talking about the error on the the slab itself, it being called a 59D with a wheat reverse. But the problem with that is if someone like one of us who knows and would keep the coin to ourselves as just kind of like a novelty thing, that's fine. But this was not going to someone like us. This was going to someone who thought that they were going to get a huge payday. And therein lies the problem.
Yeah,
Things
that
like
could be a
this get
huge
into the
issue.
wrong hands, and it's a problem. So, and I don't know how it works, how it would have worked with PCGS calling it one thing, and then, if the owner said, "Well, you said it was this," would they be liable to pay them something? I don't know. I don't know how
No, they
that.
would not. They would
Okay.
not. I've been
Okay.
involved in brokering a number of counterfeit coins sellbacks to
Okay.
PCGS, their holders, and they pay you your invoice price.
Okay,
So
now,
I'm going to assume she didn't pay $1 million for it. She's not going to
Oh
get
yeah.
that.
Oh heavens, no.
yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
she
No.
found it.
Yeah, and
But
because the shipping didn't happen, one thing that probably didn't occur yet, because remember, when the shipping it gets back, they have to send it based off the declared value. That declared value would have been significant, right?
well,
And
and they
so,
knew, so there's a couple things that should, had she known, it was her first time sending a coin into grading, blah, 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 blah. When you send something, it had this actually been a 1959D, like Eric had said, had it actually been a 59D mule coin, they would have adjusted their grading fee accordingly. And it also would have been put on the label that it was a mule coin error. But they would, the value of that coin would have gone up, and they would have adjusted their grading fee according to the value of that coin.
Yeah,
And
I
they
would say
didn't.
that.
But she still paid $124 for a damaged coin. And
yeah, so that's coins with syrup.
That's-
It's not a counterfeit coin. It's actually a damaged coin
It's
that was
just damaged.
improperly graded.
yeah.
Now, the whole reason for me to want to talk about this, and again, we're going to be talking about grading today. We're going to be talking about the anatomy of the coin and looking at some examples. But the whole reason I wanted to bring this up at the foreground is this genuinely was a community-based discovery. There was a lot of discussion. There were a lot of really big names, big minds, good people who understood about the coins, who came together and said, hey, grading company, we might have an issue, right? And so you have, again, the names that you've mentioned, many people don't even know who they are, right? And so it might be a good thing, and Paula, you and I can work on this if you would like to, is actually kind of like list those names and how they're referenced, who they are. And then we can put that in a community post so you understand who these people are that are having these conversations. There's a lot of people in the hobby who not only look at, like, we talk about Jack and looking at counterfeits and things like that, but there's also people constantly looking at just generalized coins. This was a great catch by the community. And these are the things that as a community, we need to be doing. Again, this is not a counterfeit coin. This is simply a damaged coin. Now, Eric, can you do me a favor?
Yes,
You said you put together a couple overlays.
I did.
You have an overlay. Can you share that overlay and let's kind of talk
Yes.
about, now, this isn't a definitive thing, folks, because the coin is damaged.
Yeah.
But what we can do is you can begin to understand how you assess these types of things. So when you're talking about grading a coin, when you're talking about verifying a variety, these are just good lessons, right? These
Can
are
I-
just really good things.
Can I just insert one other problem with this, also from an educator standpoint?
Yeah.
So another problem would have been with this coin that she would have gone into that Facebook group, and it would have been a huge "I told you so," and all of those people that told her it was just a damaged coin would have lost all their credibility in that group, and that's a problem. That's a big problem, because there's enough knuckleheads out there as it is that want to prove people who know what they're talking about wrong. I'm dealing with one right now.
Yeah,
But-
and the people get obstinate. And again, everybody wants to be right. But the problem is, folks, when you're dealing with a bunch, and this is where people just don't get to know who these names are, right? When you don't know who people are, you can't assess their insight, right? And some of these names are big names. Coins with syrup, they labeled it as, you want to pull up the next image, Paula, before I go over to Eric's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me
So
stop sharing this.
yeah. We'll show you what they labeled it as, and we'll explain a little bit more why it's a problem. If you look at the image that was there, you can see clearly that it's damaged.
Good morning,
Okay.
Sue.
But this is what they called you. And now I want you to look at the word genuine. That's number one. That's a problem, right? 9859D. And what do you see on the back of that? Now, they didn't actually say that, but what is on the back of that coin? It is a wheat reverse. So essentially, they named this a 59 mule.
Yeah, this was a huge,
It's a big deal.
Up in on so many levels.
Because the only one, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember reading this correctly, the 59 mule, which was claimed ownership by famed counterfeiter Mark Hoffman, which PCGS would not grade. They did not agree with the grade.
I put the story in the private chat. I also had posted it in the.
Okay, cool.
In your normal chat, I'll do it again.
So this is the mystery of the 59 Lincoln cent, and again, there's a whole lot of information here. I'll copy this link, or you copy the link and put it in chat. Or you just did. Outstanding.
Again.
So yeah, they talk about this, the Secret Service. They talk about all the people that were engaged in this. But it was such a problem that they wouldn't even allow that particular coin to be discussed. So they put like a hush order on it. And so
the Secret Service said it was legit.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of issues.
They're coin experts.
Yeah. Who often consult with Jack. Anyway. Sorry, Jack. I had to throw a little plug in there for you, brother.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
But again, this was a major issue. Now, again, not a counterfeit. This is just a grading issue. Okay, this was an improper grade, but it wasn't just a small problem. There should be checks and balances here at PCGS. They should have been able to identify that. Have you guys ever heard of the Swiss cheese model?
I think you've talked about it before, but
okay. Swiss cheese model. You think about Swiss cheese. It's got holes all through it. Normally, you can't see through the cheese because it only goes so far, and you don't necessarily see. Doesn't matter where you hold the block. You have to hold it at a very specific angle to see all the way through it. When those things align, then whatever issue or barrier or things that you've set up now allow that problem to go all the way through. And that's probably what happened here. There was most likely just a couple things that happened, oversights that just aligned. And they're normal processes that may have been skipped, or maybe they had a big rush order or something going through, or maybe there were some problems. Somebody was sick. Who knows what the barrier might have been? But there probably was something internal that caused this issue. The problem is that the issue wasn't a small one. This could have been a seven-figure mistake. And so...
well, it would have ended up costing somebody money. The person who owned it, if they sold it to somebody else, who believes that whatever PCGS says is true, PCGS graded it, so it must be true. And there are a lot of people like that out there that believe they are infallible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so
that would have been interesting to see what PCGS would have done, because again, they stand by their guarantee, but if someone else had bought it,
right,
and then it was claimed to be counterfeit, what would PCGS have done? Would they try to get the money from the one and go back to the other? And that's a real can of worms.
That would have been horrible. Azure wants to know if alcohol was involved. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
It was when I was looking at the coin.
Looking at it, I felt like I was. Yeah. No.
I'm sorry,
but I just wanted to bring this up. I don't want to dwell on this too much more. I do want to pull up Eric's screen real quick and show this overlay. So show what you should talk us through what you've got here on the screen, Eric.
I went through a couple dates here. I don't have my hand up here.
That's a Spadone special called the slash digit.
You see, this is what I'm concentrating on. This little hump right here, and also the shape right here. It is damaged, so it's not going to be perfect. But I did a couple overlays. And the first one I did was 53. 53 isn't even close. It's not 53. I did 52 also. 52 has fonts all by itself, and I remember that. It's a 1-year type font. And I thought, it's got to be a 57, but you still see this here, and you see this anomaly right here. I'm actually starting to believe that somebody did that on purpose. Somebody started working the metal right in here. Because if you look, there's a whole circle right in there.
Yeah, but if you look at slash digit
But look at, here, I'll
damage,
go to
it
this,
often,
and I'll go to the 59. You still see up top, there's a big hoop there. There's a hoop in the back. You see this lump on the back side here, and you see the little anomaly right in here. So it is my opinion that it's there. There's your hump, and this is like damage right here, but it's still rounded. It matches that little loop right there. The 5s also match. The 59, the font is slightly different on the 5. If you look,
The D looks closer than the other ones as well.
yeah, I'm just picking random pictures that I have for it. Got that, and then you go right here, and you see right at the bottom of the 5.
you can see the coin, the damage to the entire side of the coin there,
Yeah.
and it kind of all lines up.
But you look, yeah, you see this, and then you see there's damage right here through. But it's this lump right here.
Yeah, that gives you.
That is the giveaway that it's a 1958D.
Yeah.
Or we believe it's a 1958D.
We believe
Yeah.
it. I'm more certain of that than any other date that I overlaid on top of it.
Yeah, and again, this is the kind of diligence that people do to help, validate and authenticate, stuff like this. So anyway, the whole reason
it doesn't matter.
Say again.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's just a damaged coin.
Yeah, it's a damaged coin.
My thing, like when I was posting, you can see there's like a circle right there. It's almost like somebody was working on it, like sanding on it and stuff like that. And but ultimately, it has the ring of death. If you look at the whole coin, it was an end coin on a returned roll.
And you see that type of damage a lot. Like I said, it was actually written up originally by Spadone as a type of error called a slash digit error. And but it's just moved metal. Copper is a soft metal, and it's just moved metal, and that's all it is. It's damage. So, and most of the time, back in the day, it happened from like gumball machines and kids would put in that mechanism that you turn the dial that caused damage to the coins. So
yeah, ultimately, like I say, it's my opinion. It's a 1958D.
Yeah.
Mike Noodle agrees.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go that far because I don't care.
It didn't take long. I do it every day when I attribute die varieties that there's no marker match because let's face it, most die varieties come in different stages.
Yeah.
They take the wire brush to the dies and the markers are changed. So sometimes this is what I have to do.
Well, and like we talked earlier, the furthest I went with it was looking at the mint mark style, and that was it.
And but like 1909 SVDB, 1914D, doing an overlays like makes it super simple. Even though there is one of the 1909 SVDBs that's very close to it's very difficult to find on an overlay on the obverse. But you can spot it on the reverse real easy because it's got the wrong VDB on it.
Okay. Well, thank you for indulging us and letting us share that because that was an all-day affair.
Well, but it's like I said, it's a really good catch in the community.
Thank God
and that's the benefit, right? And so
it did pay off.
Again, when we have these kind of wins, I want to make sure that we share them. And when you look at things, and I know that there's a discussion regarding how often do these things make it into slabs. Mike says quite often. I want to caveat that. Okay, in retrospect to the amount of slabs they do, there's not tons of them. There's quite a few, but it's not like they do millions of slabs.
And that goes back to what Mike said yesterday.
Yeah,
you don't understand just how the grading procedure goes.
Right,
it's a lot quicker than you think it is.
And so, are there lots of mistakes out there? Yeah, there's mislabels, and there's stuff out there. I've got one that is labeled as a 3-cent silver, and it's a 3-cent nickel. Right. So those things happen. It's not as wide as people. It's not every coin that goes through is going to have a problem. they have a pretty good success rate. And so, but there are things out there. And again, this is why it always goes back to, slabs are nice. One of the faults with the conversation that we're having today, and we discussed this yesterday, is that the Sheldon scale has faults, especially when you're looking at items. But what doesn't have faults is if you know the information that I'm showing here on the screen. Okay, understanding the coin. Slabs are great, but know the coin. If you're going to be grading, you have to know the grade, or you have to know the coin, the details of the coin. And so you really need to know the anatomy of a coin. Here I've got the Morgan dollar. And E pluribus unum, right? Its technical name is the legend, right? Morgan, the head. Well, you see the liberty, and there's the hair. Those are all the elements of that, but that's called the device. The dentals or the denticles are around the outside, not on every coin, but if they have it, it'll be listed. There's a difference between the rim and the edge. A lot of people use those, and I have done it before.
Interchangeable.
I do it too.
Yeah. The rim is where you hold the coin. The edge is where it's stacked. Nope, that's backwards.
That's backwards.
Right? But we say that all the time. The rim is where you hold the coin. The rim is where it's stacked, and the edge is where you hold the coin. So when they say hold the coin by the edge, it's not holding the coin with your fingers touching close to or on the obverse and reverse. You want to be touching that edge, right? The date, obviously, is the date. You have the denomination on the reverse. You have the mint mark. The device on the reverse, in this case, is the eagle. And then the United States of America is actually called the motto, okay, or the legend, excuse me. And then the motto is "In God We Trust." So each one of these elements has a definitive name, but it gets really, really, really complex. And I'm going to pull this up. I want you guys to talk about it as Eric's showing some stuff, but I want to show you how detailed this is. Because when you're looking at Morgan dollars, and I think you guys can see my pointer on the screen, right?
No.
Or, no, you can't. How about if I do this? There we go.
Yep.
Okay. The little curls in her hair, the gap here, this piece down here, the crux of her neck, the eye, the crown, all these things have names. And if they identify issues, so it gets very complex when you're talking about these items. Very, very complex. But here's the thing. Know the high points. Now, I have another one here. And again, this is the anatomy of a coin. I really like the clean look of this image. I think this is taken from Profile Coins. I don't necessarily recommend any of the sites that I'm with, but I just want you to see the images that they have. Where are the high points on the coin? It's the cheek, this. You're looking at the fasces. Maybe it's the oak leaf or the olive branch, or it looks like an acorn. Right? And so you're looking at where are the high points? Because those are the wear points. That's where you're going to have the first signs of wear. And all that stuff is listed. But you really need to understand, again, going back and forth, you really need to understand the anatomy of the coin that you're going to be grading.
In those pictures there, give it a great, what do you hear when you hear people about grading Morgan dollars? The breast feathers, around the crown, around the hair. If you look at that coin, there's two high spots back to back. And when you strike that coin, that's got a lot of stuff where it's got to flow the metal into those high spots. So that's why you hear it's got to have great breast feathers, because it's got to be that's two high spots back to back.
And don't confuse the Sheldon scale with grading standards, because there are multiple.
I've never graded a Morgan dollar, but just looking at that picture, that would be the spot that I would say would be where you could tell with a weak strike right away.
Yeah, so again, it's just really important when you're looking at this, and all of these things have names. I mean, if you really want to get integrating and you want to understand, they're going to tell you, what the detail of the hair is, and look at that, the crown, or look at the Phrygian cap, right? What is the Phrygian cap? Well, the Phrygian cap is this thing right here, right? And so, what's the other name of that?
Phrygian.
Is it Phrygian cap? No, the other one. The original
Oh,
name. I always forget what that thing is called.
Oh my gosh, I know it. Yeah.
I can't remember. So Joey, that's another good question because again, you need to understand the strike of that year, right? And sometimes the breast feathers are better in others. 1921 Morgans have extremely good strikes, and there's millions and millions and millions of them because they were new dice. It was a brand new set. They had not made any for a long time. But if you're looking at something like an 88, the details are going to be a little bit weaker. So it's important to understand, and this is where it gets really,
Phileas,
really
yes,
in depth.
or
The
Phileas, or however you say it. Yes.
Thank you, Mike. I knew. Leave it to the guy who works with the ancient guy to know that. Well, I mean, come on, Aaron Burke, right? You better know that. Aaron would be shamed. Just kidding, Mike. 1921 S is scrappy. Yeah, so I mean, there's a whole bunch of different coins. But it's important that you understand what the strikes were because that's going to matter. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to bring this over, and I have to apologize for this size. I'm going to try and bring it down a little bit. I'm just going to bring a screen over and put it in front. Can you guys see that? Okay. So this is something that I also want to talk to you guys about. And when you look at, I'll bring this so you can see that there.
Good morning, everybody.
When you're looking at getting stuff graded or you're looking at buying coins, it's really important to understand some of the words that people use. Now, this is a general overview of PCGS, but PCGS actually goes pretty in depth with this. This is just a very light overview.
Are you showing something?
Is it not on the screen?
I don't see anything.
Yeah, all I see is the Morgan.
Yeah.
Okay, it's because I'm sharing it here. Hold on. So let me do this. Let me remove that and move it because I had brought it in front of the other screen. Need to change. I'll put it in here. It'll make it easy. There we go. Okay, now you should be able to see it.
Now I see it.
Okay. So you're going to see when you buy coins, you're going to see things. This is BU, right? Well, what does BU actually mean? And if you're not familiar with this, I'll take the link and we'll put this in chat. So let me copy this quick. And I'll drop that into chat.
Not to be confused with BA.
Or BS.
Or BS. Yeah, that's right. I made that mistake with SOB one time in a doctor's chart. I thought he was calling me something when it actually meant short of breath. Anyway, brilliant uncirculated. What does that mean? And so it's a term talking about the range from 60 to 62. Now, these are, again, subjective, right? Some people get really in depth with these. Some of them, they're very simple. Mm-hmm. Choice BU. What's the difference? Well, that one we're looking at things about MS63. Select BU. Select BU, we're looking at something around 64. And then the gem brilliant, which is this one, and then they're superb brilliant. We're talking, 65, and then we get up to 66 or 67. Why is this important? Because a lot of people will utilize this terminology to mess with you. And they will say a coin is something. They don't necessarily even know what it means. But if you have an idea of this scale and you see something that says BU, you're expecting an MS62, not a VF details coin, right? So make sure when you're looking at this, you understand what these terms mean because a lot of people don't use them correctly. And this causes problems. I did a video on this. We've talked about this. This is, again, it's the link is in chat. So look at these, but it gets pretty in deep and pretty in depth. NGC has a totally different look at this. It's handled a bit differently. So just get familiar with these. Know the basics of these. So as we're walking through some of these coins, you can kind of understand. Because Eric, I'm going to bring you up. Can you share your screen and let's do the microscope view of the first coins. By the way, folks, Eric has pulled up some doozy coins
Doozies.
for this example, and I think that you will really enjoy them.
Let me get rid of, hold on, let me.
And while he's pulling that up, Jack Young is recommending a book. It's called Grading Guide for Early American Copper Coins. And it's created by William Eckberg, Robert Fegley, Dennis Faust, and Raymond Williams. He says, if you want to learn about early American copper coins, go check that book out.
They're pretty. I know that.
All right, here we go. This is one of the first coins we're going to look at. So let's talk about this. Paula, when we were doing this beforehand, he pulled this up. Paula said, oh, that's this coin. And he said, yes, it is. Knew exactly what it was without even having to look at it. I was very impressed. So let's talk a little bit about this coin.
Yes, please. Let's talk about it and look at it and drool over
right.
it and love it and pet it.
Now we'll get to a Lincoln cent anatomy.
I think he said he was going to send it to me. I'm pretty
Can
sure.
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Oh, not much more.
That's fine. Perfect. That's right there. That's all we need. So walk us through this.
All right, you've got the Lincoln cent obverse here, the high spots, cheek, jaw, forehead, and shoulder. Those are the highest spots on the coin. And this will go back to wheat cents and memorial cents. There's always spots that are notorious for weak strikes. This is one of them. The shoulder's right underneath that spot. Wheat cents, it's even worse. And then also, you get in here and right here. This is actually a pretty well struck coin. It's actually got all the steps on it. And for 64, that's pretty rare.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful.
It is.
God, I don't look at it enough.
It
All
is.
right. Now we'll go to a little bit of a tangent. We will go, which one of these do I want to put up first? This one, which I don't understand. This goes back to, grading being subjective, in my opinion. The steel cent.
No. Let's clarify what we got going on here. This is not just a steel cent, brother.
It's a double die.
This is a
Here,
beauty.
The fatty Bo Batty.
Go in
Yeah.
to really get a good look.
Look at that.
Yeah, that is 2 9s right there. There's one going here, and then one going here.
And that is FS 101?
FS 101, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beauty piece.
Mm-hmm.
Out. But you see, this is where I kind of disagree, but it might go to eye appeal. I'm not sure. You got some bag marks, nicks above the date.
Mm-hmm.
You got some.
And on the collar. And
Yeah, a lot on the collar. Fingerprint right there. And this was going to go to a point that you hear, buy the coin, not the grade. Even here, you've got some of that milk spotting.
But.
Yeah, but but you look at this, it's a reverse. It's pretty. These are all pretty well struck, if I'm not mistaken. You always see the anatomy of the wheat cent reverse. Try and get this focused. I'm not used to using this so far out.
You can zoom in a little bit. What I want people to be able to do, though, is to get a feel of the surface, right? You can't see that necessarily really close because,
And
again,
this is not a super shiny surface.
right.
This is getting to one of the points that I'm going to be making.
Exactly.
Right,
but hold on real quick. The other thing I want you guys to do is, while we're looking at this, I want people to look at things like color. Now, but mind you, this is a steel cent. The three that he's going to show are steel cents. But Look at the general color. Look at the luster. Look at the surfaces.
And
And then
show
look
that
at the
under here,
strike.
too.
Yeah, right. And so it's just really, really important to kind of have a good feeling of what you're looking at. Because when he shows you the grade, think about, oh, this looks like a 62, a 61. This looks like a 63. And this is how you practice. Look at graded coins.
Yeah, make a guess. Make a guess.
Cover the label, make a guess. What is it based off of? You know what I mean? And so then we'll go through. Okay, go ahead.
And but always wheat cents notoriously struck, and I'll get some raw ones out and see if I can't find some weak struck there. Also, weak strikes right here. Weak strikes right in here. Basically, anywhere there's a high spot on the obverse, there can be weak strikes on the reverse. There's not a lot of high spots on the reverse, but here I guess you got my other thing up. No, you don't. But this coin in general, luster, as far as luster goes, is medium in my opinion. When I sent these in, this coin coming up next was the coin I thought was the best coin.
Hold on, before you get there, let's go back. So before you do that, what I want to do is I want to go back to the other coin. Let's pull it up on your other one. Cover the label so nobody can see it. And let's look at that coin. Okay, so what I want you guys to do, and you guys that are good with this, don't cheat and pull up the number. But what do you think the grade on that coin could be? And I know it's hard to see with that, but you've seen the details. It's really hard to see on that because your lights are
let me do this.
washing
this
out the
might
coin.
help a little bit. Let's try that.
Mike says an important point to keep in mind, the reverse of a coin cannot help the coin's grade, it can only hurt it.
That's right.
So you see that, you guys start throwing numbers in there. And again, there's no wrong answer because right now it's just what kind of things, what kind of things do you look at, right? And what we'll see, and I do this, we talked about this, Eric, when we were talking at the end of yesterday. I always grade something and then go -1.
That's what I do.
I have to.
You're partial to your coins. This is another one. This is the second one. We'll go back and forth. I'll do 2 and then we'll do 2. But you see, this one's got a lot more pop when it comes to the actual surface of the coin. And this is going to be an important point for grading steel cents because you will see people saying, I can't believe this coin got this grade, and I can't believe this and this and this about the steel cent. And this is
so now you're
example of that.
And you're starting to see different ones. Again, we're talking about 2 different coins there. So I'll go pull up the scope again. All right, and you're going to show coin 2 now, right?
Right.
Okay, so remember, this is coin 2. So that was coin 1 that you just put the guesses in. So we're going to do the second one. Frank's already dropping in the second, but let's look at this one.
All right. There we go. This one's got a lot less bag marks on it. Got a little mark right there in front of the nose. And that actually might be in the die itself. No, I don't think it is. But it's got a little bit of mark. And from a Lincoln cent perspective, I can tell you when there's damage, bag marks, scratches, stains, right in Lincoln's view, they tend to hit it harder than if the mark was right here. I've seen a lot of coins with big gashes get decent grades, and it's got a gash behind the neck. It's like they don't even look. But this one, the obverse is actually pretty good. And this, as far as luster, is the nicest one out of the 3 coins I'll be showing. Looking through the holder itself, presents a little challenge focusing. But all well-struck coins. Little corrosion on the reverse of this one. That's probably what brought this one down. Thinking of it. Oh, there's a fingerprint on it too. Nice. Didn't even see that. That's probably what dragged this down. So guys, make your guesses on that one. Are you keeping track, Frosty? Let's see.
I've seen guesses 1. I've seen a couple people do coin 2, but I haven't seen anybody choose anything on the coin 3.
Coin 1. There's a couple right answers there. 1.
So
2,
let's go ahead
3 right.
and show this.
Coin number 1.
Dun.
Where you got me on the wrong thing?
Oh, hold on.
Oh, coin number 1. Let's see if I can do it here.
Oh, let me just pull up the other one.
I got it.
All right, coin number 1, MS65.
Now, coin number 2. What does everybody got for that?
So Jack Riley and vote for Pedro
And Mike.
and Mike. Yep, there you go.
64, 64, 65, 66 plus, 66, 58. All right, the second coin is also 65. Now we'll go to coin number 2 or 3.
Coin number 3. Can you show it again and give them a chance to?
Yep, let's do that.
Show the. Go to that. This is coin number. Oh,
never mind.
That was a quick move, though. Somebody's going back and gonna hit them. Luther says, "Ben, you have to get in line, brother."
All right, there's that one, and it's nice. From a luster standpoint, it is not as nice. You go to the obverse, and it's nice and clean. Not a lot of hits. Actually, less hits even than the last one. And that thing in front of the nose actually is in the die because this one has it too. It's like a little ghost of the nose. Which that should not affect grade unless it really, really, really affects eye appeal, which is what we are going to get into on the steel cent after. One little spot. But overall, a beautiful coin. Got some of the little zinc oxide flecks on it.
Hold on, just a sec. I did not change the screen.
Right.
Let's go through that again. Sorry, that's a shame on me.
We'll go through the obverse.
So we had 2 people that got coin 1. We had 2 people that got coin 2.
Oh, Mike got coin 1 too.
Nope, he had 64 up top.
He had 6. Oh, did he? He went to 65, I thought.
Now this is the one. This is the one that kind of surprises me.
Yeah, it's actually from a hit mark standpoint, it's a beautiful coin.
And look at the strike.
Oh, the strike is nice.
The strike on this is really nice. What would you say? Moderate to early die state?
This is earlier die state. I would say early mid die state.
Okay. You see that by the rim there.
Yeah, here I'll try to show you where I actually. This
Paula, what's that called?
What?
The little lines on the rim that die where? What do they call that? Flow lines?
Radial flow lines.
Radial flow lines. There you go. I always forget the radial.
Like right here.
Or
the
metal
sharpness
flow,
of the devices.
Metal flow.
Come through. And I think I've got an early die. Oh, I shipped it. Darn, I had some early die state 57Ps.
Shipped it.
But
all right, so throw your guesses in. We got 63, 65, 68, 67, 66, 66, and 65. I see a couple right answers.
Yep. And it is, in fact.
Oh, you're going to, hold on. MS66. Nicely done, folks.
Yeah. And this goes to a point about steel cents. the grading companies don't put toned, anything like that for steel cents. Whether they're dull or whether they're super shiny, unless they're reprocessed, they don't add anything to a steel cent listing. They're all the same.
But again, so this is where, and we talk about this, the strike is absolutely more important, right? But you look at that, show the surface of the third coin again. Okay.
And it's a beautiful coin. Don't get me wrong. And it does have luster, but it's a lot duller than the other two coins.
Why don't you walk us through what you were saying at the very beginning? Because you made a really good point about you looked at this coin for quite some time before you actually understood why they graded it this way.
This coin.
Don't confuse luster with shiny. Because if you see a shiny steel cent,
that's reprocessed. And they'll tell you it's reprocessed.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
But this coin is bright, really bright in comparison to the other two coins. I mean, you can just see the reflection coming off the date. The reflection coming off the eyes and off the top of the hair. And you go to this coin, which graded higher, not a lot of reflection, almost chalky, but there is luster. When you look at it in light, it does reflect still. The microscope is not a great tool to look at luster.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say. Perfect. Folks, remember, when they're grading these coins, they're not looking at this through a microscope.
Yeah, Mike says 5x. I actually never knew, but I had actually heard somebody say 3x before is what they generally go through coins with. But I believe, what does reprocessed mean? Reprocessed means that they were rusty. They've been dipped in a mild solution and replated with zinc. And the easiest way to tell is the edge. I almost said rim. The edge of the coin never had plating on it. And the replated coins, the edge of the coin is plated. That's the number one easiest way to tell, unless it just looks like it's chrome. If it looks like it's chrome, it's been replated.
Now there are some who believe that that they actually had some planchets that were plated post blanking.
They do use microscopes for die variety authentications.
Yeah. Well, I think they use them for if they suspect.
Oh, no more than 5x. All right. I was under the impression
it's been cleaned or something too, right?
Yeah, they had a light table, and then they had one of those big things that the person doesn't even have to hold on. They just run the coin underneath it. So yeah, there you go. No more than 5x. I also heard that on some coins, they don't even use anything. They just whip them by.
They do get some of them do get like a blue hue to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But want to move on to the dimes, or do you want to go do some more Lincoln cents?
Yeah, but let's kind of talk about a couple things before we move on. Okay. So first off, we've looked at a lot of this, folks. A lot of you are in here. Please make sure you're smashing the like. I do appreciate you all being here. Share this out, right? Again, the more people that know the information, the better. But here's the deal. Eric had 3 coins. Now, he's a rotten bastard for showing us the specific coins that he showed us, because I don't have any of those. But this is a great example of being able to look at coins. And again, Eric, when we were talking this morning, the one thing that you stated when we were showing these coins is that you looked at those 2 coins for a very long time.
And I didn't agree with it. When they came back, I was just like, oh my God.
Right.
Now I looked at it.
As you really look at the details and you really look at the coin, again, these people pick this stuff up. They recognize these things. There's certain things that people focus on. Every grader is different. You have the same basic criteria, but every grader is different. But one thing I think all graders will look at is going to be that strike. They're going to look at the strike. Also, when you're looking at strike and when you're looking at details, and again, it doesn't matter if we're looking at counterfeits, doesn't matter if you're doing authentication of a variety, or if you're just trying to grade, knowing the device, knowing the makeup of the coin, knowing what's normal. Folks, if you want to get good at grading, just look at coins. Just look at coins. And go to a coin shop.
Look at graded coins.
Well, yeah. But you have to look at coins too to get familiar with what's normal. Right? Get your eye, because you may not see something. But you know it's just not right. There's just something weird about it. Set it aside. Come back later and look at it when you have more information. Can I make a recommendation? Yes, go ahead, Jack, please. And take a class.
There is a great also on, and I'm gonna say it again. I say it all the time, but the American Numismatic Association has a YouTube channel, and they have great videos on grading.
They also have a class at summer seminar if you really want to learn.
They do, and someday I'll.
Most coin shows, a lot of them, like Fun Show, they always have grading classes there too.
Ian Russell's Amy collection has a grading section where you can test your hand at grading in a similar environment. Outstanding. Find that link if you would and post that in there. That would be awesome, Jack. Thank you. Stopping the penny only push people to collecting pennies more. Maybe.
Good.
But it's not going to do much for value.
And I can highly recommend Bausch & Lomb optics. That's what I use here.
Yeah. And
the
folks,
the only way it would affect value is if there was significantly more demand than.
It's not going to change it. Well, I'm actually going to be talking. Sorry, Paula. I'm actually going to be talking with Tiger Stacker tomorrow on our Stack Collector. We're going to be talking about one of the most common mistakes that coin collectors make. And in my opinion, I will talk about that tomorrow, and it has everything to do with some of the discussion that we're having right now. So make sure you're coming to check that out. The live stream link is already up. Go hit a reminder and make sure you're there. But here's the thing. When you're looking at coins, not every coin can be graded the same. Right now, we've got a dime up. The high points are going to be different. Okay?
Right.
The strike is going to be different. The things that you have to look for are different. And so make sure you're tracking that not every coin is exactly the same. You need to know the coin. You need to know the strikes of the type and the year. So find what you like, find a year, get good at it, and then do more research on some of the other ones and move forward. But
right here.
He just, Jack Riley just put that in. I'm going to pin that in there on my collect. Paula put the A&A grading site in there. Unfortunately, I can't pin both of them. But go check that out. I've got to go look at the My Collect and figure out what that is. But I agree with Luther.
My Collect was started a few years ago by Ian Russell. And it's kind of like Facebook, but for coins. That's the best way I can describe it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about this, folks. All these people have access to different information, and I don't know where all this stuff is. I see stuff, I let you know. But again, Paula, Jack, thank you for the My Collect. That's new on my radar, so I will have to go check that out.
Has not been talked about a lot, so.
Yeah, and there's so many resources, and it's so hard as a new collector trying to understand what's good and what's not. So I appreciate any insight as to sources that are good. Now, we all have different idea of what good resources are. So what one person likes may not be conducive to somebody else and may not be agreed upon by others. So make up your own decisions, make up your own minds. And if you want to know, simply just ask. So Eric, let's go ahead and go through this coin. Let's walk through these.
One thing, I do want to make a disclaimer. I am not a professional grader, and I don't pretend to be.
Me.
None of us are. Yeah, none of us are.
I have done a little bit of it, quite a bit of it, and I've been pretty accurate about how I do it. And like I say, now we're getting into silver coins. Silver, a little bit more malleable than copper and nickel. Nickel for sure. Nickel is forgiving in early die state. It's easy to grade an early die state nickel. It's hard to grade a late die state nickel. And we're going to get into that here.
And Eric may not be a professional grader, but he did stay at a Holiday Inn last night. So
That's right. That's right.
Get
Were
out of
you
my
really?
head.
Oh, that's either outstanding or scary.
All right. We got our first dime. I've got 3 of these dimes that are the same. Here you see you got a die crack in the nose, die crack above the eye. Die cracks typically should not affect grade unless they're totally unsightly and they affect eye appeal. But you got later die state. You see that this is all drawn towards the edge. Kinetic energy starts pulling the grain of the die towards the outside as it strikes. But got a little die crack in the hair, doesn't necessarily, but not a ton of detail in the top of the hair. And I didn't grade these. These were coins that I bought graded.
Some of
And I
those
got an
spots
issue
could
with
have,
one of
some
them.
of those spots could have come up after that coin was
That's right.
graded, too.
Those spots are planchet wash.
Yeah.
And it is sulfur based and it turns into sulfur oxide.
So let me ask
if
you
you
guys a
look at it-
question. Before we go on, I apologize, Eric. I didn't mean to cut
No
you
worries.
off, but it opens up a great opportunity for this. Jack, please chime in. I mean, you're sitting over there. I don't know if he's drinking his coffee and fell
Or
asleep
something.
Radial flow line.
join the
That's right.
conversation. If it's graded, and let's say this coin grades at an MS64, and I haven't seen this coin, I don't know the grade, I'm just saying. And you start to develop this, will that coin grade, if you send that back in, what happens to the grade on this? Does it start to decrease? Does it start to decline? How do they judge that when a coin in a situation?
That goes back to what I was talking about
Big
yesterday
details grade.
about the people that have the high deal registry sets. They always resubmit the coin in the holder because the grading service doesn't say, "Oh man, we messed up. It's a 65 and it's only a 64. We're going to take a grade away." They just send it back and say, "No, it doesn't upgrade." That way, the coin is still graded what the original grade is.
Yeah.
If you crack it out, you do have the chance of it grading lower or not grading. A good one comes to mind. About 5 years ago, there was somebody within the coin community that had a 1909 SVDB that was MS64. And they cracked it out thinking that it was going to get a 66. And lo and behold, it came back cleaned.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
And you know who I'm talking about. And he was pissed. And he kind of prides himself on being a good grader. And he's not a bad grader. Actually, he's pretty good. But it bit him. The coin went from a very expensive coin to just an expensive coin. Because Unk Details it's still worth quite a bit of money. 5 years ago, it was worth less. But it wasn't worth what MS64 red coins were worth.
And you have to learn to get past your love for that coin.
That's right.
Because your love for that coin will raise that coin's grade.
That's what I always say. When you decide on a grade,
and I can't.
Away. And I do on silver coins.
I can't do that.
My thing on silver coins is silver coins, the way the metal spreads within the die, and I'm not familiar. I haven't graded a ton of silver coins, but it just seems like I'm always a grade or two high. So I always take a grade away.
I'm better at grading other people's coins than I am my own.
Yeah,
because
pennies,
my love
I do
for
pretty
my
good.
own coins.
Nickels, I do, like I say, I do great on a nickel if it's earlier die state. If it's later die state, nickels to me get very ugly in later die state.
Exactly.
Well, and Jack Riley says something too. You want to believe yours is genuine. You want to believe yours is the best.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. So let's go through. We've had enough time. What are we thinking on this coin?
Well, we got to go look at the reverse.
Okay.
Yes, the reverse will never raise a grade of your coin, but it can lower it.
Look at that.
So if you're looking at your coin and it's like a 64 on the obverse and a 66 on the reverse, it's not going to be a 66.
All right.
Well,
you're looking
no,
at a
and
time for bands. This band
Yeah.
is sealed right here. It's sealed for sure. Look at FS. That's FS8.
the beauty.
504. FS
nice piece.
504.
You're not seeing things. That's
Oh.
that is actually repunched mint mark and
Yes.
very nice one.
Is it D over D over D north?
No, just D
Just
D over D north.
Okay. It almost looks like 3 from my vantage point, but that's probably light.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
again,
the-
that's
the
why
whole-
be careful using microscopes to do this too.
well, and I'm
You get
looking
light
through
refraction and
Through
stuff.
plastic.
the plastic. So
Yeah.
the light coming down, hitting the metal, shooting back up to the plastic where there's an airspace, and then shooting back down. And that's what's making the real harsh reflections. Taking a picture through a slab is tough, but here's your high spots. Right here, right here. So you have the same problem you have on Franklin's. The high spots are on the reverse and on the obverse are in basically the same spots. So you're trying to fill a big hole up. But this one, it's got, I'll say no full bell line on the top because.
Well, I hope it doesn't have a full bell line.
Or I mean, full bands. But it's got like, the planchet wash. And you guys can go ahead and take a guess what you think the grade is on this. I mean, it's got good luster. If you look at it under this, it's a beautiful coin. I don't know if they see
I'm not guessing. I make it a rule to never try to grade from photos or videos.
And this is tough.
Well,
Yeah.
but again, it's just
I know.
practice. It's just play
I know,
around, right?
but
This is something to give
if
people
you ever
ideas.
send me a picture and ask me to what I think the grade of your coin is, I won't give you one because it's hard enough to grade a coin in person. And then you've got things like what he said, like you're looking through plastic or
Yeah, that's a very difficult thing to grade.
somebody's
this coin
lighting
from the
is a little
microscope.
off or
Well, and the fact that it's going through plastic is why I actually bumped my grade up one.
you really
one
can't
notch.
judge luster
Yep.
from a
And this piece
photo.
of plastic had a scratch on the holder in the front. Like I said,
Right.
I bought this at the fun show, and there's a guy that sells these slabs in there. He's like got 6 kiddie pools with all these slabs in it.
Oh, fun.
It is fun. Me and Adam crushed it.
Man, I would have a ball going
Yeah.
through that.
And I think I paid $20 for these coins. I think that's what it was. They were marked $40 and you paid half price or something like that for them.
It's called photo grade for Luther, right?
But anyways, this one is
Whoa, 10 memberships. Look at that.
MS65. And
Yay! And I didn't see that before, folks. This was just a guess.
let me see if I can play with
Good
this line a
job.
little bit. If that affects it. Oh, that makes it a little better, I think.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
a lot better actually. Yeah, that's a much better look.
Watch those spots go away.
This is a different coin,
Oh,
but this one doesn't have the milk spots. And looking at this other coin, it had a small die gouge by the die crack on the eyebrow.
mm-hmm.
But all the other die cracks, everything's here. I know these came from the same row, but here's the high spot. You have a rub here.
Rub.
You have a rub. That looks
Do you hear,
Most of the
Paula? Do you
time
hear? Do you hear this?
Most of
The
time
chiming.
that bounces it out of mid-state.
You'd think. But this has a
Mhm.
lot better definition in the hair. If you look at the
Yeah.
hair.
Do you guys hear the chiming, or does that?
No?
No, I don't
Okay,
hear
good.
anything.
Good. I tried to turn that
Outside
off because people were
definition in the
complaining about it.
hair. Little bag mark in the die crack in the hair. That is not a rub.
There's the rub.
And then we go. You guys can make your guesses what
There's
you
an
think.
old Christmas movie called the Jack Frost.
This is a
and then-
much better reverse, I think.
Now I'm hearing that song. There's
A
the
little bag hit
rub.
right there. But
You guys
got-
do hear it. Okay, I tried to turn that off. I'll have to figure out why.
I don't hear it. Maybe
To
it's
me-
on the YouTube side they hear it. I don't know.
What do you guys think about the bands?
It's not full bands.
You count this as cutting the band?
That's a close call.
That band is full.
It's a close call, but
Yeah, you might get full bands from that. I just don't think that. Again, personally, I think that.
I don't like the
Okay.
definition in the torch, but
All right. Well, we got one guess.
Van Halen.
Got two guesses.
Panama. Dun, dun. I like this.
And 62. Man, you're
Probably.
rough, Jack.
He's probably close to being right.
No,
66. Outstanding.
it's a 66.
Yay.
But I just looked at that. I looked at it earlier and didn't see that rub. And it has definitely got a rub in the jaw by the ear.
Mhm. That should have knocked it out of mint state.
Because I think it's more of a bag mark rub.
Or a wheel mark?
No, it was something that was not done by a finger or wear in a pocket. Then we got this one, same one.
Well,
See the die crack.
That's a later dice date.
They were all pretty late die state, actually.
a lot of times those flow marks give it luster like crazy.
Yeah. This coin, I can tell you, has great luster, but you got bag mark there. This obverse, it doesn't have the rub, though. A little bit. Had a little bit of a hit right there where it was rubbing in the bag. And then you see the rim. This is the denticles right
Yep.
on the edge or rim.
Bite mark.
Yep, bite marks. And this is, I thought the obverse on the last coin was better than this coin. And you go to the reverse. The reverse is actually pretty nice on this. Got a little rub
Major
there.
hit on the berry.
Yeah.
Did you do the auto thing that'll take us to Coin Show podcast?
The auto thing wouldn't let me work. I'm not sure what's going on. I've got the
right,
link.
here-
I'll put the link in
Here
chat.
we got the bands. See the one band. And then you see this band.
Nope.
This is going to go to a point we made earlier on.
That contact mark is in the wrong place.
And
Bad place. Wow. That's amazing. Now, do they do the same thing with that as they do with like the full steps? They allow like a
they
Like a
might, but that
contact
other one
mark?
that was 66 to me is full bands.
hmm,
But that being said, when I bought these all graded like this. They were already in the slabs. The one that says FS504, I took the best one because I was making a variety attribution from slabbed coins that I had bought. And I just put this one in because it was only like, I don't know, $15 or something like that. And I wanted it on there because I would planned on selling this one at some point. I was planning on keeping, like Paula, I planned on keeping the 65 for myself.
yeah.
So But that's those. I mean, we only got through 6 coins.
That's a great variety.
That's okay. It's all right. We've only got a few minutes left. We're going to be
That's what
sending
I'm saying.
everybody over to the Coin Show podcast here in just a few moments. Don't forget that St. Jude is going on. They went through a ton of stuff yesterday. I don't know what their bottom number. Last time I heard,
you don't know what they got yesterday?
No, well, it was Family Day, so I wasn't even around until later in the evening.
They were getting decent money. I popped in a couple times. They looked like they were getting okay money for their coins.
Well, with the uptick in the price of silver from last year, I mean, that alone should bump up what they get. You know.
Well, they started off with something like 16,000 or something like that.
14.
Not so much a higher grade. Luther says would FB mean it's a higher grade than a normal 66? Value wise, yes. Grade wise, it's the same.
Yeah, I think there was another group that did like a St. Jude auction that they combined their money with that. So yeah, they had a great start.
Well, now you know what I do when I go to the coin shows.
They made over 30,000 yesterday. That's amazing.
And that was their goal. That was their goal for the whole weekend.
50,000.
Yeah, 30,000 on them, and they got like 10,000 from somebody else.
Yeah, they did 12 and a half hours yesterday.
Donation. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, it was a long stream. I came back in the evening and it was still going. And they were talking about
go from here to the St. Jude telethon, donate, then come over to the coin show. That's what Mike said.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to buy anything. You can just there's a link.
There's a donation link.
Yeah, there's a donation link that you can use, and I recommend doing it that way as opposed to just going to St. Jude. Use that link, and every dollar helps. So last year he like broke it down and told like $1
74.
They buy like a certain amount of syringes or something like that. Like he broke it down and it was pretty incredible. So every dollar counts.
You should have Jack do a thing coming up, grading large cents. He'd be the one to do that.
Yes,
absolutely.
sure.
Jack, you up for something like that?
He's daydreaming.
He fell off.
No, I'm still here. I lost my microphone. I couldn't hit the button. That'd be an interesting discussion. I sent Frosty an image of actually a grading guide that EAC did that's really, really very good about early copper.
Yeah, you should do that. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that because I love early American.
And that goes, know your coins. Jack knows large cents.
Well, and that's where you get into the different varieties and the die strike, issues associated with them. And it's there's a lot of really good examples of coins that get higher grades than they should, the way the dies were out of parallel and on and on and on. So, I mean, that's a whole science, really. And you talk about
that goes to the strike, Luther.
Does the pressure of the strike?
Yep, the center of the design does not distort like the outer rim does.
Metal follows the path of least resistance, so it strikes in the center first and then flows out.
And that's it. That's a whole other thing. Learning about how different metals spread, how heat affects different metals. There's all sorts of stuff to learn when you're making your decision. Like that one that did grade MS66 full bands, that the definition in the hair was nicer than any of them.
Well, a perfect example, right, is like the full head designation and the full split band designation on mercury dimes.
And here's another.
So for most special designations, they only give those on mid-state grades, but there's a couple years on both of those coins where like the 1916D and a couple years on the
take on it, the notorious BIGs,
Standing Liberty quarters, that they will give that designation to coins that are less than mid-stake for certain years,
Yeah.
because those strikes are known to be weaker.
Okay, I got the link. I'm going to
On
post
those
it in the
dates.
chat. Then I'm
New
gonna take it back
coins.
out.
Yeah,
There it is.
Grading can be tough because there is a lot less
I
relief in
just
the
see
dies.
Big T says I need the link.
They have flattened
Well,
all the
mhm.
It
devices
must have
to
came
try
in
to
after
increase
you.
die wear.
I dropped it.
And then you get a lot of high grade
Well,
coins,
this can't
but you
come
don't get a
up
lot of
unless
super
you're
high grade
part of
coins.
the crew this morning because we're
Oh,
almost
cool,
getting
Frank.
ready to start.
A fake CC.
Here,
Oh
Big T.
boy.
Good morning.
That's right up Jack Riley's
Morning.
alley.
Morning.
I'm
I
sick.
know. There you
Oh,
go.
Don't
That
see
one is
this.
Do,
Do you
I'm
need
here
to-
anyway. I'm sick, but I'm here.
do we need to get
who is
replace
that?
you?
Who is who? Who is
Who is
Sue?
who?
Who is who, Sue? How's your shoulder, Sue?
Who is in the background?
Eric Byer, Jack Young.
Might have been Jack. Not sure who she was hearing.
Are you hearing voices, Sue? He hears they hear another show in the background. Oh, somebody has the
Oh,
St. Jude
I had pulled it up, and yeah, I was
Okay.
getting the links. That's probably what they heard in the background.
Ah.
I got you.
That's weird
didn't
because
know.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
Somebody's
I'm
got
not
good
sure.
hearing. I'm old and
Not
half
sure
deaf.
why it came through unless it came through the system sound, but I'm not sharing the screen, so that's weird.
Yeah, weird. Well,
Yeah.
that's the second time that they've heard things on the YouTube side that I haven't heard through StreamYard.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly who you heard, Pedro. So yeah, it's exactly right. Anyway, we're going to wrap stuff up. So again, folks, just a kind of overview. First off, Paula, Jack, Eric, thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate you guys talking
having me.
about
Yeah, thank you for
The-
having me.
This
I
is
love it.
fun.
the coin in the morning is something. If you missed that, go check that out. Watch the first 15, 20 minutes of this stream. Understand what that is. And again, congratulations to everybody who pulled together to get that taken care of. It was a community win. And again, you know,
Oh,
good
that
on
was- that
PCGS
was
for
good.
stopping it. But you guys did great. And then I just want to kind of go through a couple of things. Grading is subjective. It really is subjective.
That's right.
And when you
It is
own
important.
and you hold your coin, you want that to be the best possible thing it can be.
It's
but
easy
remember-
to pick it apart.
It's really easy for somebody else to look at your coin and go, "Oh, that's okay. It's nice, but it's not all that." But you give them the same coin and they hold on to it for a while, and they're going to start seeing that coin is better and better and better, right? Because you get vested interest in it. So you have to separate yourself from the love of your coin. I know that's hard to do. Some of us have a hard time doing it.
I can't do it.
But get to know your coin. And here's the thing. You're not going to get good at grading without practicing. Go look at coin shops. Go look at coin shows. Get some graded slabs. Play a game. Go check out that list that was done earlier. And go check out that, what's the site again?
There he is.
He's like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. What was the name of that site again?
Which site?
The one that I just learned about. You and Jack Riley were talking about it.
Coin grading
The
site.
Coin grading.
It's up in the chat somewhere.
yeah, come on, you guys. My collect.
Michael.
Oh, oh, the group. Yeah.
Yeah, so go
What's-
check
what's
out
he
My
showing?
Collect.
What's he showing, Jack?
Oh, what's that?
Focus.
Man, his hair's combed.
He's a handsome fella, isn't he?
I can't see it, Jack. I can't. What does it say?
It says it's a weak strike. Paula, you seen this coin?
Oh, yeah.
That's the strike through coin.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I can't.
And I appreciate that designation, because there are many things that can cause a weak strike, and oftentimes the grading companies will call them adjustment strikes,
Yeah,
and
no.
they should not be calling them adjustment strike. Weak strike works.
All right, folks. Well, hey, real quick, we're going to wrap stuff up. I'm going to send everybody, go click on the link, go over to St. Jude, let them know Frosty sent you.
And then
Okay,
go to
let's-
Coin Show Podcast.
And then go check out the Coin Show podcast. All right,
Bye,
folks.
everybody. Have a blessed Sunday. And
Y'all take
Happy
care of
St.
yourselves.
Patrick's Day. I bought myself a brisket yesterday. I mean,
We had
Outstanding.
brisket Friday.
yay. Okay, bye, guys.
See you,
All
Paula.
right, take care, folks. Don't forget, folks, join me tomorrow for Stack Collectors, all right? All right.